If you guys didn't know, I'm a huge fan of Renaissance era Cartoon Network. Of course, I like classics and stuff, but these sets of shows are my childhood. Not just these 4 shows, but other things like Over the Garden Wall, We Were Bears, Ben 10 Omniverse, Clarence, and other shows around 2010 and 2015 were great. Of course, the shows I just mentioned, I loved watching them for the plot, the action, the comedy, and for the adventure. See what I did there? Adventure Time is probably my favorite out of any of these. I think a lot of people stopped watching the show at season 6 when the show's quality kinda fell. However, season 7 and 8 are, in my opinion, the best seasons in Adventure Time. People who don't like Adventure Time should give these seasons a try. They develop the characters in such good ways. This video will just cover some of my thoughts on the special, what I thought of it. I watched the special multiple times, and this is all of my opinions about it. So just enjoy. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. I hope you watch more of it. What did I think of this special? I'm gonna go through a checklist of categories of things that should be made great in a piece of animation entertainment. First off is the colors are way more vibrant than your usual Adventure Time episode. This is a lot since a usual Adventure Time episode is pretty colorful. It isn't too bright like terrible cartoon shows, but it's pretty great. Of course, at certain parts, the color will dip down a bit, but that's okay. It's good. It sets up the mood for some certain scenes. The animation seems pretty much the same to other Adventure Time episodes, but higher quality. Each movement is smooth. Characters are expressive, but not too cartoony. They convey certain emotions at times, and the animation reflects that well. It's pretty good. Characters design is what I would expect when I hear Adventure Time character design. So most characters have Jake or Finn-like eyes and unique bodies. That's also great. One thing to note is when Seago is explaining Hugo's backstory, the style changes to the water park prank art style. It's made by the same guys, and of course it's still as unpleasant as it was in that episode. The colors are also more vibrant in that style, but still, those human faces, man, they're terrible. Anyways, each character has a unique and fun design. Speaking of characters, how likable are the characters in Adventure Time BMO? Yes. Let's go through the checklist of characters. First off is BMO, and he shines through this. Her development here is amazing, and the fact that this is a prequel explains why she always seems to be in the highlights of things. BMO always shows courage again and again in the series, and I think this is shown with Y5 and the adventure with her. Kinda tells us why BMO is the way he is in the series. Confident, heroic, brave, yet still young, but he tries to mature, and we see this in The More You Mow, The More You Know. Great episode. This is also shown in BMO's near-death scene, actually, which is so amazing. I'll get onto that later. There aren't really any recurring characters except for BMO and probably Mr. M. Anyways, next up is Y5.
Looks like I'm gonna need a deputy. I can't pay you.
Definitely a likable character who starts off as an innocent and following kid in the special, and becomes slightly braver and more heroic and confident in the climax, which is exactly what BMO does. However, she is less brave and willing than BMO, but both characters grow and evolve. Olive is also a good character with an interesting backstory, but unfortunately he or she or it wasn't developed enough. The parents of Y5 are annoying. Not the dad, since Tom Kenny is great.
Oop! Pod fails. They're spreading everywhere.
Y4 was right.
I've never heard you say those words.
And the dad doesn't even get much screen time. But the mom kinda sucks. It's the usual ignorant, deadbeat parent in cartoons, and we already had one in Adventure Time anyways, so she's not unique or interesting at all in my opinion. I'll get into it more in the plot, but Y5's character arc is kind of lazy. Hugo's also a character, and is he a good twist villain? Yeah. I didn't expect him to be the villain. I thought Mr. M was gonna be the villain, so I was kind of shocked when he was the bad guy. Well, both of them are. Yugo's best moment was definitely his speech at the end before escaping, which I'll cover later. He's also kind of the character that shows this special's message, which I'll also go through later. Next is Mr. M, who, if you were too stupid to know, like I was, is Martin Mertens. He had the same voice actor, which I pointed out multiple times, and he seems to know he's a deadbeat parent. He isn't too likable, and definitely a more obvious and not as good villain as Hugo, but at least he has some good comedic moments.
Kids, right? Always calling out their deadbeat parents.
What?
What?
Other characters are pretty good, like Seago, the space lords and stuff, but the bugs, those two bugs could go die. Honestly, I think this is the special's biggest downside. I'm not gonna break down the plot since a million other YouTubers have probably done that, but I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. By the time Y5 lied to BMO about going on an adventure, when she really expected BMO to get smashed for parts, was when I realized the very obvious trope was gonna happen.
BMO, you've just been summoned to meet some very influential citizens.
That's great! It will give me a chance to check out my new stomping ground.
Great!
I thought Y5 and BMO were gonna travel to where BMO would get smashed, but Y5 would gain an emotional connection to BMO and
I can't believe I did that.
How did they feel?
Kinda good, actually.
Of course! You're my deputy after all.
Oh, right. Listen, BMO.
Yes, my true friend?
BMO, there's something I need to tell you.
would defend BMO at last second and would have to go against Mr. M, Hugo, and her parents. However, it took a twist. I didn't expect it, but still wasn't happy about it, so BMO doesn't end up getting smashed, but they still do the thing where BMO and Y5 fight, you know? And BMO goes on a solo adventure, and Y5's all sad, and BMO's about to die, but Y5 saves BMO. I completely predicted all of that, so I think you can tell what the big issue is. The problem is, the plot is way too damn predictable. I predicted a lot of stuff that happened, and it's not good. I also totally expected Mr. M to be the villain, as I said, and I was kind of half right. He was definitely another villain, the second villain, but Hugo was main villain, which I didn't expect. I liked how there were two villains that had very different backstories, and the episode did that really well. I don't like, however, how they tried to make Hugo slightly sympathetic near the end with that scene where Olive's comforting him. He's a terrible guy still, and that scene should have been cut or changed. A scene where the villain is tried to made slightly likable in the end shouldn't even exist, because they're the villain. Speaking of Olive, he's likable but doesn't have much personality, which sucks since he's kind of the first new character we saw, and yeah, he's just a wasted character. Lastly, the ending. So it's revealed this was all a prequel. It's fine, it was a nice closer. I would have been fine if it was a prequel or sequel, but the fact that it was a prequel was unexpected and was a pretty good twist. Overall, jokes are pretty hit.
I think I'm dying.
You can call me Y4, if you must.
No, that's boring. I will call you Harmonica.
I don't like that. It's funny, though. I have thought about calling myself something else.
Yeah, that's what I did. I called myself BMO, and the rest is history.
Really? Because it looks like it's just printed on your side there.
Okay, thank you. Pick a name now.
Okay. Hypothetically, how about Y5?
I love it!
Miss.
Did you just light a firework on my...
It's funny because I love that. I love that. Say that word. I love that one. It's funny, but oh my gosh, if you don't funny. Oh my gosh, a cartoon show, and they wouldn't use funny because the show was about to bruh.
Okay. The humor is better than a lot of bad Adventure Time jokes. I especially didn't like humor in the earlier seasons, and I think it's better there. So not much bad jokes, but I think the special does need more good jokes, and it'd be a pretty funny experience. At the climax of this special, Hugo is revealed to not be such a good-hearted leader as he was portrayed. He was actually a selfish leader who didn't care about anyone other than himself, and exploited the drift and the people living there. Instead of helping them and leading them, he just exploited them for his own gain. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, this episode has an anti-capitalist message. Basically, like, some leaders aren't as innocent as they seem. I love how more cartoon shows are shedding problems in today's world, such as racism, and this this message is shown in a good way. It shows that people won't really care to try and expose the leader, as long as whatever the leader and his team are doing, whatever they're doing, they'd be able to get the piece of the pie. So, pretty clever message, and pretty good for a modern piece of animation. I can't call it a show. Technically, it's not part of Adventure Time canon, and it's its own separate series. There are some big issues in the special. First off, as I said, the plot. It's very extremely predictable with its usual tropes. Next up is Olive, wasted character. Another criticism I have about Olive is I hate how it comforts Hugo in the end, when it should really be comforting BMO, since BMO was the one Olive was searching for, you know? Hugo was the corrupt one who kinda damaged the drift, so I have no idea why Olive is comforting Hugo in the scene. In context of the message, how it should have been changed, I think Hugo should have been alone to show that, yes, technically Hugo won, he escaped, but in the end, he is still so lonely, you know? So he won, but he is lonely. So that didn't make any sense, that scene. Some jokes don't land, and of course, those stupid Overall, what did I think of Distant Lands BMO? I think it's a good special. I said I gave this special a light 7 out of 10 at the end of my reaction, but now I think I'm gonna give it a strong 7 to a light 8, which it's a great rating. It's good, but I feel like all the next 3 could do definitely way better, stronger. You know, those characters, because BMO is a good character with actual good depth, but just the plot. They need to make the plot less predictable. They need to have characters that aren't wasted, and they need to have characters more developed, and just have better jokes, you know? But that's really all my complaints about this. It was a great special. Anyways, that's really all I have to say. I'd appreciate if you guys liked, subscribed, and rang the notification bell, because I worked pretty hard on this, and yeah, that's it. Goodbye, and have a nice day.